Hello aspiring developers, welcome back to the Introduction to Web Development Workshop. Today is the day 2 and today we are going to talk about integrating GitHub to Visual Studio Code using Git Bash. We are going to focus on two methods, but first we are going to use SSH keys, then we're also going to use the command line, the Git Bash command line, to try and configure GitHub using GitHub to VS Code using Git Bash. So from the previous video, I hope you've already managed to create a GitHub account and you've already managed to install Visual Studio Code as your code editor. I also hope that you managed to install and configure Git Bash as your command line. So now straight away, let's head to GitHub to confirm the account we created. So just type github.com. It may ask you to log in. Just put your username and password, and you'll be logged into your account that we created yesterday. Now we are going to go through the overview of GitHub so we can know more about GitHub. Like I said earlier, GitHub is just a web-based browser where our repositories are hosted. So when you click on your profile, here you'll find more about your account, like your account name, your account username, your account bio. You can edit the profile, your followers, your companies, your achievements, highlights, yeah, and sort of. Then there's this repositories. Here you'll find repositories that you've created. You can sort them by date. You can sort them by name in ascending order from A to Z. You can sort them by stars, these stars here, or you can sort them by languages, maybe purely JavaScript, or you can decide to sort them by different language like Java. And if you try and sort with the language that is not existing, then you'll see that okay, you can sort them by languages too. You can also sort them by type. Let's first sort them by all languages to remove the language filter. Then now we try and sort it by public or private, that is the visibility. So this only sorts the public repositories, and when you click on type and select private, then this sorts it by private repositories. So for now I'll leave it at all. Languages also all, and yeah, I'll just clear the filters. Then for projects, in projects, this is normally it's used with collaborative, when working with on a collaborative project with a team of people. So here you can see the featured create project templates. Here we have project planning, we have the feature release. You also have the Kanban of GitHub, where you visualize the status of a project and limit work in progress. Then you have the bug tracker. You can you can create a project using the iterative development. You can use the project launch template. You can use the roadmap template, the team retrospective, GitHub template, or you can decide to start from scratch using a table, of which here I can zoom in and you see the type of table. You just need a new view, or you fill in table details. For now I'm not going to create that. You can also start a new project using a board, and for the board you can see how it looks like. You have the planning board, the not started board, the building board, the review board, and the project can move from one board to the other until it's completed, and now it can be moved out of the board. Also, we can create a new project by roadmap, where you can label maybe like 1 to 7 what is to be done in the first step to the 7th step, and by the first squad you can also have a second squad there, And here, once it is done, then it can be shown by these user profile icons. They don't show that it is already done, show that it's still in progress. Yeah, so if you want to create a project, and like I said earlier, collaborative project, this is the best way to start a project in GitHub. Yeah, so for now I'm not creating any project, so I'll just go back to my home page. Then for packages, like I said in the previous video, Docker is just a containerization. It's for containerization. Normally, once you have your project, you can have it in Docker, then it can be viewed the same way across multiple platforms. We have Apache Maven, we have the Nugget, we have RabbitGems, this is NPM, we have containers, all those are packages provided with GitHub. So if time allows, we'll touch on Docker. We also have stars, the same stars that we are seeing in repositories, which you can order by stars. These are the stars we were talking about. Here on stars, you can see that here we have Dev Kalutu is having an AI summarizer written in JavaScript. This is a project that I was interested in and I studied, so it will always come up there. We have Kalutu creating a car showcase repository in TypeScript. That is also a great project that I studied, and I can always reference to it later. There is a weather app, there is lead code solutions, we have a ticketing app. Yeah, so when you get interested in a project, you can always tie it and it will come to your repository. You can also start your own projects. Like here you can see there's this Jesus Roberto, my own project. It's a software I studied. Then there's this POS I also studied. I wrote something on cyber security, I studied. I also have this remote task coder sheet, and I also studied that. So you can also create a folder or a list of stacks. You can now group stacks into a list. Like here, I was interested in Angular. I wanted to learn it later using TypeScript, so I studied and I had it in a list of my stack. So any other thing that I start and have it in my stack list will always go into that my stack kind of folder or list. Yeah, so basically that's GitHub overview. That's about this top navigation. We also have this other smaller navigation here. We have issues, we have pull requests, we have the notification center. Then here we can create a new repository, we can import an existing one, we can create a new code space. And this bar that you're seeing here is the same as this side menu bar here, where we still have home, issues, then pull requests. We also have projects, discussions, code spaces, we have explore, we have the marketplace, and we have several repositories. Mostly the one that we've been working upon is what comes is what is brought to the top of that list. So today what we're going to do, we're going to create a new repository, and there's two ways to doing that via GitHub browser. So if you click on repositories, you can either open it using this new repository plus icon up here, or either way you can directly open it using this new button right here. So both will lead to this URL that has github.com/new, or you can just directly type github.com/new and it will direct you to a place where you can create a repository. So here we'll name this repository intro GitHub. We can rather say intro to GitHub. Then the description, this is just a short description of what this website is going to be about. So this is going to be an introductory GitHub introductory repository. Then here you choose the visibility, whether you want it to be public. When it's public, anyone can see it. When it's private, you're the one who chooses who can see, or you're the only one who can see and commit to the repository. But you can always choose maybe collaborators to help in in the repository that you're creating, and you can give this people who are seeing it specific levels of access. So for now, this is going to be a public repository because it doesn't have much, and I want everybody who is on the internet to be able to see it. So I can add a readme. Always add a readme because it's extremely helpful in documentation, and when creating a new project, this adding a readme will prove to be of help, and you will notice that as the workshop advances. Add a gitignore and choosing a license. We're also going to touch on that if time allows. So now that you've confirmed the repository name and the name is available, the description is well written, the visibility is public, you have a readme there, so you click on create repository, and you can notice up here that GitHub has this blue loader, and once it's complete, now you have your repository, and it goes to your file name, your GitHub name / the repository name, and here you can see that there is this main. This is a branch, and there is only one branch. If you click on it, you see that there is only one branch here, which is main. We're going to learn more about branches when we learn about Git commands in the upcoming videos. Here we see that there is 0 tags. Here you can also see that there is an initial commit. Initial commit means that's the commit that was given when you created the readme file. The readme, here it is, the readme.md. It is a markdown file to mean that it is a documentation file. For mostly markdowns are mostly used for documenting websites and for documenting repositories. So every file or folder or repository that you create, make sure you have an MD trying to explain more about it, just in case you also want to share it with other developers. You can edit this markdown by clicking this pencil icon, and you can see it's loading up there, and then it opens the file. Here, this just as other languages, Markdown is also a language, and it has its own syntax. Like here we see hash, then intro to GitHub. Hash there means first header. You can use two hashes, and this means we are now having to. This is the second header file. This is the second. This is the second header. Yeah, you can leave it as that is the second header. Then once you've made some changes, you can click on preview to see the changes you've made. Here you can see this first header is a bit bolder, a bit bigger. The second one is a bit smaller, but also bolder than this one, which is not a header file. But you'll learn more about the syntax of Markdown as time goes by. So once you've already made changes and you feel you're comfortable enough with it, just click on commit changes. Then here the commit message is update readme. Then in extended description you can say I created a second header. Created a second header. I also added spacing between my header files. So for extended description, you can always write all the information you wanted to write about a commit message. You're going to learn more about what a commit message is. Then here the commit message, you just write a brief overview of whatever file you're trying to edit. Then the commit email, make sure by default it might be going to this email that you use to log in to your GitHub account. Then there is this commit which is directly going to the main branch, like we saw earlier. I pointed out where the main branch is. So you click on commit message, and now GitHub saves that version. Yeah, so when when it refreshes or when you click intro to GitHub and it reloads, you now realize that the readme is there and it is edited. This is the second header has now come into our file. This file is called a remote file because it is hosted remotely by GitHub. When we have it in our machine, we call it a local file. So the hosted one is called a remote file, then the one in your machine is called a local file. So now we go straight to File Explorer. We create a new folder. You can name it projects. Then you open that projects folder, right click inside there and choose the create or open with Git Bash. There we are going to create this new SSH key using Git Bash. So just follow the steps. Open a new folder, call it projects, right click inside that projects folder, choose on open with Git Bash or Git Bash here. So now let's go to the Git Bash terminal that we just opened. So now welcome to the Git Bash terminal. Here is where we're going to generate the SSH key. As you can see, we are in the projects folder that we just created. So now let's go straight ahead and type in the command that is used to generate the SSH key. So SSH dash key gen, then dash T RSA with a B flag. This dash B is a B flag, setting the bits to 4096, and then the dash capital C. And then after that, now you have to write your email, the one that you are associating with the SSH key that we are trying to create. So the email, the one that you use to create your GitHub account, that's exactly what you type in there. For me, I use dangerprogrammers@gmail.com. Then you type on enter. You can see that it is generating a public and private RSA key pair. So you need to enter file in which to save the key. If you click on enter, by default it will generate it in this folder that is specified here. But if you want it in a different file, you can just type the file name there. So for me, I'll just type on click on enter. So you can see that it has created a directory C users Georges then .ssh. So enter a passphrase. Passphrase is quote in quote a password. So you can just type in any password there. Then you have to repeat it again. In case you typed it wrongly, you have to repeat it. So write it like that, and then we repeat it. And when you type on enter, if it is correctly typed, let me just reduce this again. You notice that your identification key has been saved in that directory. Then here there is a key fingerprint, and it is for this email at dangerprogrammers@gmail.com. So now what you need is this path here. So we are going to navigate our file explorer to that path. Then we are going to extract that key and we are going to paste it in our SSH key in our GitHub account. So let's go straight to our Windows File Explorer menu where we're going to get that path. File Explorer is open. You come to this PC, then local PC, mine was in users, depending on where your path was, mine was in Georges, n.ssh, s.ssh. Then there is this ID RSA. So Microsoft publisher document. You right click on that. You right click on it. Then you choose on open with. If you don't see Notepad here, you can just click on choose another app. And then you type Notepad and you select just once. So there it opens this file here. This is the file that we want to copy. This is the one having the private key, and the private key that we are going to use as our RSA SSH. So you must ensure that it starts with this format, SSH minus RSA. Then you must ensure that it ends with your email. So select all. You can just type on Control A to select everything, then Control C to copy, or right click and type on copy. That's new SSH. So you just come here and type
the title, you can just type it as bash key. Then here you paste, you right click and paste SSH RSA code that you just copied, then you click on add SSH key. You'll be prompted to input your password. So just put your password there, then you click on confirm, and you'll see that you have successfully added the key bash key. So now that means that your terminal is well configured to start accessing your GitHub page. So you can just click on this profile icon that takes you back to your profile, your home page. Then here you come to repositories, and from repositories you go to intro to GitHub. Yeah, the folder we just created or the repository we just created. Type on code, then you type on this copy URL to clipboard. Make sure it is at HTTPS. Then you type on this copy URL to clipboard. From there, you go back to the Windows Explorer. You can remember there was a folder we created and we named it projects. So here is mine, the empty folder named projects. You right click there. Okay, you come to this projects folder. You right click inside there and you type on some options, then open Git Bash here. So let me just expand this so it's all visible. Then you type on git clone, right click, type on paste, then you type on enter. You can see that it's cloning into intro to GitHub. So this, sorry, let's just minimize this. Yeah, this project folder was empty at first, but now the git clone command helps us to take our project from the remote repository, which is the GitHub, which is the hosted GitHub website, and bring it to our local machine. So we now have intro to GitHub as our file. And when you compare this intro to GitHub with the intro to GitHub that was on our website, you notice that it's the exact same thing. You can see the naming intro to GitHub is the same. It only has one README file, and when you open this, it also has only one README file. When you open that README file, just double tap it, it will open VS Code.
Yeah, so as we earlier had promised, this is an alternative way of setting up Git using Git terminal. So you just come and type in this command, git config. When you set it to global, then you won't have to type it any other time. So I advise that you use git config -- global user.name. Then here you type in your GitHub username for the account that you created. Yeah, once that is set, you just come and also write git config -- global user.email, and then there you also write the email of the GitHub account that you just created. So once you've set the email, now that you've already set the username and email, the next thing will be to set your default editor. So you'll also say git config -- global, then you say core.editor. Now this one you're setting to be a default editor, and this course throughout you're going to use Visual Studio Code as our editor. So there you can type in code. Another one sets VS Code as your default Git Bash editor. So now you can type on git config, then the list flag, -- list, and here we see that let me just try and reduce this. We see that the user.email here, the initial default branch is the master branch. The user.email is set, the user.name is set. We also have another user.mail there, general programmers. Then we have safe directories, we have the recent repo, though these ones will not be having them. The focus is on configuring your username and your user email, and then your default code editor. So once that is okay, then you already have Git well configured